A little over 2 weeks ago, I posted a video sharing with you about second Passover and warning you that if you don't enter into God's Passover, if you're not observing his Passover, you're not in the covenant. In Numbers 9, God extended a second Passover. Jesus extended the covenant on Passover. If you want to be passed over when God brings his wrath, you need to observe Passover. And not only observe Passover, but you need to understand the significance. You need to prepare to enter into it. And as you're preparing to enter into Passover, you're going to do things like what God said: rid your house of yeast. You're going to prepare to eat that unleavened bread for 7 days. You're going to rend your heart to what it means to rid your house of yeast, of sin. You are a house. You're going to understand what it means to eat the unleavened bread that God had when he brought his wrath, when he brought the destroying angel, that he told the Israelites to eat with their cloak tucked into their belt, their staff in hand, their sandals on their feet, and to eat it in haste because they were going to leave in haste and not be able to add the yeast to their bread. And that's exactly what's going to happen when God's people are delivered from all this, when he's about to bring that seventh trumpet and pour out his wrath. Do you want to be a part of that or not? Then you need to obey what he has established. Last night began second Passover. Not a single person on this channel contacted me to enter into second Passover. I extended the offer. I said, we will assemble with you. We will observe with you. No one contacted me to observe this. So as you're experiencing judgment right now, as you're seeing judgment right now, as you're seeing all of these tornadoes, fires, floods, earthquakes, right now during second Passover, you should be able to understand what God is doing. And you will not have peace. You will not have peace that God is going to pass over you. And the reason you don't have that peace is because you're not in the covenant. You're not in agreement with him. Do y'all realize what it means to use God's name in vain? God's name is not a word. God's name is not Yah or Yahweh or Yehoshua or any of these things that people argue about. God's name is a purpose. That's what his name is. That's why if you pray in his name, in his purpose, in his will, he's going to give you what it's his will to give you. The onus of responsibility is on you to rend your heart to what God wants. You guys are using God's name in vain. Yeah, you're not saying, oh my God. You're not spelling his name G-O-D like a certain group of people think that if they spell his name G-D, then they're not taking his name in vain. Oh boy, wish it were that easy. So superficial. You're using God's name in vain. You claim to be his people, but you don't do the things that he has commanded you to do. You have used his name in vain. You have blasphemed his name. You have profaned his name. No one is looking at you and saying, let God be glorified, because you're not glorifying him. You don't obey him. Here's what I hear from the counterfeits. Oh, the good Lord was watching over us because no one died. Is there any wisdom in that statement at all? Do you know who sends these things? Having the appearance of godliness, but denying his power, denying his word, denying what he has said, that he is the one who sends these things. What do you mean he was watching over you because no one died? A time is coming when you're not going to want to live through the things that God sends. Why would you want to live through that? The reason you're still here is because God is giving you an opportunity through this misery to return to him. It would be better for you at this point to die than to continue in these false Christian narratives that God was watching over you because you survived a disaster. If you survived a disaster, it's because God's giving you an opportunity to return to him, and because he brought that. And through that, he's giving you an opportunity to return to him, but no one perceives it. No one understands because they don't take him at his word. They don't take him seriously. You use his name in vain. Please discern what I have said. And if you are part of this judgment, if you've been affected by this judgment, perceive it correctly so that you know what you need to do. If you are not directly affected by this judgment, but you see it on the news, go back and ask God what you need to do, because you are also being given an opportunity, though no one seems to perceive it. God is angry. This is judgment. Not a single person contacted me. Not a single one of you is taking this seriously. There is no accountability. And don't tell me that you went off and observed this separately on your own with your own family. If you are not connected to the rest of the body, you're not in the body. God's Spirit brings us together in unity. You can't go do this off on your own. Please discern this message with God.